Attention crew, this is your Captain Caliban speaking. This is a supplemental episode of Enterprising Individuals, where we bring you news and tidbits from the world of Trek, also interviews with special guests, and a few little surprises along the way. We've got a great guest this week, illustrator Jenny Parks. Has this happened to you? You're at a convention. You're walking the aisles in Artist's Alley. You're seeing all the posters and the prints for sale, and your eyes fall upon a picture of the cutest little orange tabby cat in a TOS uniform. Or you see a picture of a stately Russian blue dressed as Peter Capaldi. Or Iron Cat, part Iron Man, part cat. Chances are you're seeing the work of Jenny Parks, who in addition to being a science illustrator, is also an artist who's created many works of feline fandom, including the books Star Trek Cats and Star Trek The Next Generation Cats. I spoke with Jenny about her work, about cats in Star Trek, and what Trek characters might be secret cat fans, and much more, and that conversation is coming right up. But first I wanted to let you know that if you like what you hear today, and you want to see more of Jenny's Star Trek cats, her books are available on Amazon. I've got links in the show notes where you can find them. When you order Jenny's books using those links, or by clicking through our Amazon banner on enterprisingindividuals.com, a portion of that transaction comes back to us at no extra cost to you, and it helps keep the Warp Core lit here. Anytime you shop on Amazon, click through our banner or bookmark our links and shop away and support enterprising individuals while you do it. That's it from me. We'll be back next week. Enjoy my conversation with Jenny. Live long and prosper. And with that, let's get underway. My guest on the show today is Jenny Parks. Jenny is an author, freelance artist, and scientific illustrator. Her books Star Trek Cats and Star Trek The Next Generation Cats are available wherever you get your books. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Hey. It's
great to have you here. I always ask first-time guests to the show how they first became a Star Trek fan. How did you discover Star Trek?
I would say through my mom. She was a bit of a Trekkie back in the day,
Sure.
like in the 90s, because she would watch Next Gen. So I'd say Next Gen was probably my first Trek. And I remember mostly watching the reruns probably. But yeah, those are my strong memories for me.
Sure.
Like a lot of the stuff from the books came from me just like the ones that I remembered, and I was like, I need to have this in the book. So,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your mom was she like a full-blown Trekkie? Did she go to conventions and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's not as much anymore. So that's why I say she was.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So there's like a picture out there of her and my brother in like she made some uniforms. So there's like they went to a con together and everything. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I know that is the experience that some people have had in their families. My parents would never do that sort of thing, and I didn't even really discover conventions until I was older and going to like Comic Cons and then Star Trek conventions. But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just getting to do that with your parents, I'd imagine that it would be really great. Although I imagine that it could be bad too. Like, oh, that's mom's thing. She drags me to Star Trek. I don't care. I like race cars. I don't care about Star Trek.
I don't know, because I didn't go.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't as into Star Trek back then. It was sort of like, it's been more of a newer thing for me that I like revisited it, and I was like, okay, I love this.
Yeah.
But because it was so ingrained in my memories, So back then I didn't go to the conventions, and it was the same for me. I didn't really start going until way later. Yeah, so I didn't get to really experience that embarrassing parent at a convention.
Yeah, right. Put you off Star Trek forever. When did you know that you wanted to be an artist?
Oh, I mean, probably since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I distinctly recall writing something in one of my diaries about how I wanted to be an artist when I grew up. So pretty sure it was pretty early on.
Wow, that early.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things where I was always encouraged with my art. So I think I just, had it in my head that it's like, I think this is pretty common actually for artists where like you get all this praise and so you're like, I'm a great artist. And then like you grow up a little bit more and you realize you still need a lot of, like training and skills and stuff like that. But,
Sure.
that's true of anything really. But Yeah, so it started pretty early.
You've got a degree in illustration and a grad degree in scientific illustration. Can
Hmm.
you clarify a little for us what scientific illustration entails?
Yeah, so it's a little broad. It tends to encompass like medical illustration as well,
Sure.
but that's kind of a more specialized one. So scientific illustration in its like base form is anything that's like art that informs science, I guess is the way to say it. So for me, it was a lot of just I wanted to draw animals, like that was my thing.
Sure.
Um, but that can entail um, like showing like a diagram of like what different parts of an animal like really look like. So it has to be like really scientific, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but it can also be like behavioral things, like showing like animals doing things that they would naturally be doing in the wild, or like. Um, but then also there's people who do like draw like cells and like things that you can't. A lot of it is like things that you can't capture with photos.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
so that's kind of a broad explanation of what science illustration is. Um, but yeah, for me, it was like I just want to draw animals all day, so that was kind of my thing.
That
Um,
makes sense.
yeah.
I studied biology in college, and one of the
Oh.
things that always fascinated me were the illustrations and the diagrams in my textbooks.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
there's a particular quality to medical illustration that I really like. That kind of the Grey's Anatomy look, the book, of course, not
Yeah.
the show. Yeah, but just is being able to see, the different parts of the body or the nerves and that sort of thing, and having that kind of, there's that academic feel to that kind of uh, sketch illustration that you get from a medical textbook.
Sure. Yeah.
How did your studies in that then lead you to producing fan art and Star Trek art?
Well, I'd been doing fan art for a while before. Basically, I mean, if we go back with the cat thing, like it's all pretty connected. Um, I didn't really like drawing people. Like again, I said I love drawing animals. I can draw people, but it's just like not my preference.
Sure.
Um, but so when I was a kid, I would draw like my favorite characters as cats because it was sort of like I can draw a cat, so I'm gonna do this. So one of the first ones I remember doing was like Phantom of the Opera because I was like deep into that musical, back when I was like 12, 13, whatever it was. So that's kind of where it started.
Huh.
And then I got into Doctor Who around like junior high, high school. And that's when I started drawing the Doctor Who cats.
Ah, yeah.
Which back then it was like I wasn't doing the science illustration stuff, so it was a little bit more cartoony. It wasn't as like these are cats.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so then like kind of fast forward after I'd been in art school and all that stuff, and I did like a piece that was Doctor Who cats again, Doctor Mew as I would call it. Um, just for fun, like I just did it because I was just like, I remember doing this when I was a kid. Let's revisit it.
Yeah.
Um, and put that up on I think it was DeviantArt or whatever, and it was doing pretty okay. Like I was like, oh cool, like people seem to kind of like this. Um, so that was kind of like my first dip into that. Like it didn't really catch on right away. It was just sort of like, oh, this is a cool, fun thing that I can do on the side. Because I was
Yeah.
still trying to do science illustration for a while. It's just that field is kind of hard to break into. It's very niche.
Huh.
So I wasn't really getting a lot of jobs for it.
Sure.
I was doing like I had like an app thing I was doing, and then like once in a while I'd get something from a scientist or something.
Yeah.
Um, so so I was kind of like, to be frank, I was kind of struggling a little bit with my art because things weren't really taking off basically.
Right.
So I was considering dropping art completely, at least for a job. I was working full time at an animal hospital. Um, if you can't tell, I love animals.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess.
so, um, so that was kind of like my headspace at the time, and then so it was basically my brother. He owned a comic book store for a short time.
Huh.
Um, and he would sell at Comic-Con every year at San Diego.
Yeah.
Um, and he invited me one year to try and sell the Dr. Mew like posters,
Sure.
which I had never done before. Like I just had it online, and I was like, all right, let's try it, I guess,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we printed up a bunch of these posters and brought them in, and it did really well. Like just the one poster, which is like, you know, most artists have like tons of art. I do now, but
Right.
um,
Right.
just the one did so well. It was just like, all right, maybe I can start doing this. And I knew a friend of a friend who was doing this as a job, like doing the Comic-Con circuit and selling his art. And so my friend was like, my friend does this. Like, you could probably do this as a living. So I was like, like,
Yeah.
especially because I was struggling with trying to do science illustration, and I was like, you know what, this is working out, so maybe I'll try to do this, and that's kind of how that started.
Yeah. I mean, Doctor Who cats, just as a con goer myself, that would absolutely, yeah, be something that you could sell, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Your illustrations are so, they're so detailed and they're so realistic looking, as well as having these like neat, fan elements. And it makes me think of like, there's a post that I saw online where somebody was like collecting pictures of cats from art throughout history, like from like the Renaissance period. And like people just did not understand like how to draw. Maybe cats looked a lot different back then, but the cats they're just sort of furry and then they have like a human face.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's just like they were lacking in perspective or certain techniques, but
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out actually too, because I've definitely seen those and I love them because they're so ridiculous. I wondered if like they just weren't like they weren't really referencing the cats.
They were just
like, I don't know why, or maybe they'd move too fast and they'd be like, okay, like
we can't keep this cat still.
But then again, like I don't know, like cats sleep. You can like watch the cat and like draw it. Like I don't know why.
Right, right.
It's like with some of them with like babies, how babies just look like weird small people.
Yeah,
paintings. Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be a historical.
That's not exactly how a baby looks. Yeah. You get somebody like, like Van Eyck, who's doing like all these amazing things with perspective and stuff. And then, just a cat with a little man face. Like, what's up? It's just so weird. You have examples of your work up at your website at jennyparks.com, and they look fantastic. And you've been creating pieces for all kinds of fandom, not just Star Trek specifically. You mentioned Doctor Who as well. And I know you did, you've done some work for comics as well.
A little bit. I've done some covers. Basically, I thought about trying to do some comics, like actual like interiors, and I kind of tried my hand at it at one point, and it just wasn't really for me. It's just so much of, I don't know. I think because I'm so used to doing detailed work, it was really hard for me to like pare it down and just do simplified drawings. So it was just so much of a struggle. But I love doing covers. So I've done some covers for some like smaller independent comics. There was one called Hero Cats. I've done some covers for them. And then I guess the quote unquote biggest ones I did were a few for Marvel back in, I don't know, 2015 maybe, 2014. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know. I think the art director at the time just saw my stuff at Comic-Con one year, and I guess they were doing a series of just animal variant covers.
Sure.
So they had a bunch of different artists doing different Marvel comics and just like being like, let's just turn them into different animals. So
yeah, sure.
It was really fun. There's a bunch of really cool ones out there.
Yeah.
If you look up Marvel animal variants. But of course I do cats, so the guy was like, hey, like, you want to do, a few of your Marvel cats, and we'll put them on some covers. It was great. It was maybe one of the first like big things I did outside of just selling my own art. So that was great. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Well, you're an animal lover,
Mhm.
and I guess for some people this question will be redundant, but why cats specifically?
I get this question a lot, and I started to answer why not.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
I mean, it is more of a like personal thing where I love cats. And I grew up with cats. My mom's a huge cat lover, so like I've gotten that from her as well.
Yeah.
Always had cats in my life. I have two right now. Um, but I don't know. It's just I guess it was just sort of like I love cats, so I'm gonna just draw a lot of them, and because I've drawn a lot of other animals too, but I guess cats just sort of always stuck with me. So
Yeah.
that just seemed kind of the natural thing to do, I guess. And now it's just
Yeah.
a theme, so I'm like, all right, well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a certain quality to like a portrait or a picture of a cat and the kind of, I mean, depending on what they're doing, I guess, but just a cat in repose has kind of an unreadable kind of expression. And I think it fits in a lot of ways the kind of group portraits that you see when you're seeing, a poster or a promotional work for like Star Trek, and it's like
Sure.
the whole bridge crew all lined up and they're all kind of looking somewhere to the distance or the future or something like that. And I feel like it
Yep.
matches up really well with a cat's expression.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I think someone pointed this out once where it was basically talking about how cats just look so serious,
Yeah. Yeah.
usually. Um, but you combine that with something that's so silly, it just like it kind of makes it more funny in that way because it's like they look like they're just like, yeah, I belong here, like in a suit, like.
Yeah. 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 I can see. Yeah. Just a bunch of cats all in a bridge crew. Although, I think Neelix would be a dog though. If you had to sneak a dog in, it would have to be Neelix.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Although he was, who was it? Barkley, who named his cat
Yes, he had
Neelix?
a
Yeah,
literal cat named Neelix. Yeah.
I love that. I love that little thing in there.
Your books are very very cool, very cute, and something that I like about them a lot is that you've clearly put a lot of thought into which cat is which. For example, who else could Scotty be but a Scottish fold
Oh
cat?
yeah, of course.
And you've got the famously bald Picard is a Sphinx cat.
hmm hmm
Do you
Yeah.
have to? How familiar are you with the different breeds? You have to sort of like cheat and like look through breed books.
I mean, early on, I just sort of would look up online,
Sure.
and then eventually I did get a breed book because I was like, I might as well have one, and it just makes it a little easier to flip through and
Yeah.
and be like, hey, thinking of this character, just gonna flip through, see if anything sparks something. I mean, that's a lot of times that's how it works, unless like you said, like Scotty was an obvious one.
Yeah.
The same with Picard. I was like, there's no way it's gonna be anything else but a hairless Sphinx cat. So either it comes to me immediately, or I do have to do a little bit of searching, kind of look at cats, look at the character, and be like, what's triggering here? What's
Yeah.
sparking? So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's more of a feeling.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of it's just like a feeling for me a lot of times. Yeah.
Like which, who are the Mulder and Scully cats? Like what, what's the best
hmm
thing for that? Or have you thought about doing books for other fandoms?
So yes, so basically it's been a thing. A lot of it is licensing based.
Hmm. Hmm.
Basically trying to find someone who would want to do this.
Yeah.
Um, like CBS, who does, Star Trek, they were really cool about it. Like one of the reasons why we did them first was because we like brought it to them and they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like they were like super on board. So me and my publisher, Chronicle Books, we've talked a lot about doing other things, and there are some other stuff we talked about, but it was really based on whether we could get the licensing people on board. So that's the main reason why we haven't done any new ones yet, because
Yeah.
we've just and then of course things keep happening in the world and in my life, so there's just been a lot of barriers. But definitely we've still thinking about it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, I mean, Star Trek fans would clamor for a DS9 or a Voyager.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's been a tricky one because like I would like to, but I have talked to my publishers and they seem a little hesitant because those ones aren't as popular.
Oh, okay, sure, sure.
So I think they're kind of afraid that, it wouldn't be you wouldn't get as many casual customers. You would get just the hardcore fans, which, is great. But, as
Yeah,
far as
yeah,
selling a book goes, it's not as easy,
yeah,
because you kind of need those sales to get, things off the ground. So,
yeah, yeah.
so it's a little tricky. I mean, I'd love to do both of those.
So
DS9 is one of my
I'm not getting
favorite.
my Enterprise Cats book, is what you're telling me.
Probably not.
I'll commission an Archer Cat sketch from you.
Yeah, I have done an Archer Cat.
Oh, really cool.
Um,
What cat is Archer?
he was like a gray tabby.
Oh,
I think I might have them online somewhere. You might be able to look it up because I I know I downloaded them. I did them for an art show, I think.
mhm.
I just did like all of the captains, so I actually have like a Cisco, an Archer, a Janeway,
Oh,
and
sure.
then the others that I've already done. So
Yeah.
so I did an actual painting of them, of like a physical painting. So that's why I don't have like digital copies of them because they
Oh,
were special for this art show, and then whoever bought them just owns them now. So
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so they're out there.
Okay. Well, we see both cats and dogs as pets in Star Trek, but it seems like cats are way more popular than dogs. You've got, Spot, obviously, and
Yes.
Neelix, as you mentioned. I think O'Brien gets a cat at one point, doesn't he? Um, we got Grudge, from Disco. I don't know, the giant cat from Cat's Paw. It just seems like a lot of cats. There's even a cat race, the Cations, on the animated
Oh,
series.
yeah.
Are citizens of the Federation just cat people?
I maybe like it does seem to be a strong connection, at least with Star Trek fans and cats, it seems like.
Yeah.
Um, I've definitely noticed that when I, did the Star Trek, like first did the Star Trek, just the poster for it. It was just like a strong connection with Star Trek fans. So it's just like it's just meant to be. I don't know. There's definitely something there. I don't know what it
Interesting.
is.
Yeah, I wonder if Star Wars fans are dog lovers and Star Trek fans are cat fans.
I don't know. I've done Star Wars cats, and they do just fine. People love them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I know they're usually on opposite sides, which I don't get personally. I'm a fan of both personally, so
Yeah, yeah.
I don't get the whole like, are you a Star Trek or Star Wars fan? Like can you be both? Same with dogs. Like I love dogs.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
So,
There doesn't have to be
I'm not gonna
antagonism
choose.
there. Yeah. It feels like living on a starship would be kind of like living in an apartment. You just got your one area with a couple rooms. And so
Uh-huh.
maybe cats are just more convenient than trying to
Hmm.
raise a dog on a ship. Although I was thinking the other day, like, would a holodeck work for a dog? Like if you
Oh.
took your dog on the holodeck, you could walk him around and like, you could throw a frisbee or a ball or something. And would it work the same way where the dog would be able to see the holograms and, get the holographic
Yeah.
stick and bring it back from a long way away? And
I wonder, because I'm sure the dog would be able to tell that things don't smell right.
right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Maybe it would really
um,
freak him out. Yeah.
yeah, you just be like, where am I?
What is this place?
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think they've ever addressed that.
Because there's not enough dogs.
Yeah, like there's, in Enterprise, there was,
Yeah.
um,
Little Porthos didn't have to worry about that.
yeah, like they didn't have that yet. Yeah, so, huh, a good question.
Of course, it would all be in black and white too.
Yeah.
All that fantastic
Yeah, like
holographic
color,
technology.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite Trek series?
Oh, this is a tough question for me.
Yeah,
As you know, I did grow up with not Enterprise, with Next Generation.
sure.
Um, so for a long time, I thought that that was my favorite. Um, and then I basically started rewatching all of the series. Like I've seen them multiple times at this point. Um, and I'm really attached to Deep Space Nine.
Hmm.
Um, so it's basically between those two. It's just like I think I maybe talk about Deep Space Nine more. I'm like if you get me talking about like the politics in Deep Space Nine, like I can go on for
Sure,
forever.
sure.
Like um I just love it. It's so good. I've gotten people to watch it just because like I've gone on so much about it. Like you can't stop me.
If you could out somebody on that series as being a cat lover, who do you think it would be?
Oh, a cat lover. I could see a lot of them. I mean, like I'm a strong believer in that people who like seem like they might not like cats like they secretly would, you know?
Sure, sure.
So like someone like Odo, you know, who like just has this like really serious veneer who like I could see him just like secretly like just like really wanting to sit and pet a cat like
Sure, sure.
like he might like, you know, even like understand them because they're more like you have to get to know them and uh you have to be quiet around them. Like it's not like a dog where you can just be like, "Hey, I love you," and you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's I think that's my answer.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I always thought that like maybe Garrick uh,
Oh,
would like cats, or it would be a thing where
yeah.
Bashir like introduces him to the idea of cats,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
at first he's like, "It's a repulsive animal buries its dung in the sand," but like later is like, I appreciate the sort of subtlety of the cat, and the
Oh, definitely.
slyness of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The self-absorption of a cat is
Mhm.
is attractive.
Yeah, I like the idea of it's the characters who you wouldn't think that they would be
Yeah.
into them. Yeah, so I like Garrick as an answer as well.
I know a lot of your business is tabling at conventions and events. In fact, I think I've seen you at cons in the
Oh,
past.
cool.
I've got somewhere I picked up a Spock Cat button
Oh, nice. Yeah,
that
so
I've
I
got
must have.
on my lanyard. Yeah, but live events, of course, are unfeasible in the time of COVID, and I'm sure it's been an adjustment for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 2020 was something, as
Yeah.
we all know. Yeah, it's definitely been tough. I've been doing okay, but I don't know. I even before COVID happened, I was thinking of cutting down on conventions just because I did so many in 2019, and it was like it was a little too much. So I was already like, all right, I'm probably going to cut down. And then of course it was like I got to do one in 2020, um, and that was C2E2 in March. Um,
Yeah.
but and it was like right before things shut down. Um, but moving forward, I'm still thinking I'll probably do less, just because it does take a lot of time and energy
Yeah.
that I could be doing other like I probably did more art by doing not doing conventions.
Oh,
um,
sure.
just yeah, it just takes so much time, and um, I'm a very like I've got some social anxiety, so like being in front of people is very draining. Um, so it tends to take a huge chunk of my uh, energy out. And so like even once I get home, it's like I need a little bit of time to decompress.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do love doing them. I miss them a lot. I miss seeing. I have a lot of friends who do conventions. So I haven't been able to see them, and
Mm,
fans, of course, being able to see fans in person is always great. So it definitely sucks a little bit um,
yeah.
to not have been able to do them, but hopefully soon. You know,
Hopefully soon. Yeah.
You know,
In the meantime, if people want to find your work and your merch, where can they go?
so mostly through my website, you can jennyparks.com. You can
Mm.
find all the links to uh, like I've got I'm on like most social media. Um, I've got websites where you can buy my stuff. I have an Etsy, and then there's a bunch of like if you go to my buy stuff tab, I've got like a bunch of links for other places where you can find my work. Like I've um, got places that have licenses. Like there's a place that sells mugs and stuff like that. So
Sure.
probably going through my website is probably the best thing. But you can also find me on social media. Usually on there, it's Jenny Parks Illus, Illus, like an illustrator.
I wanted to mention as well that I saw that you posted recently that you had kicked cancer's ass.
Yes.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
And I'm sure that even though you're on the mend, there's still going to be medical bills and expenses. Is there a place that
hmm
people can go to contribute to your fight?
Oh, I mean, I appreciate that. I'm not really asking.
Sure.
I did have a GoFundMe when, so I had lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma,
Mm-mm-mm.
stage two. Of course, this happened in the middle of a pandemic, which,
Jeez, I know.
yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It was really rough. But it's great that's, I'm in remission now. So,
Mm.
um, but I would say if people want to just contribute something, I'm always open to it. I'm not going to tell people to do it, but
Sure.
if they would like to, I do have a coffee, which is the KOFI,
Mm.
which is a place where you can just kind of give any sort of amount that you want. I think the lowest amount is like $3 or something.
Sure.
So that's kind of like a donation page. And I think there's a link for that on my website. If not, I'm trying to think of what the actual link is. um, but it's probably just like coffee and then Jenny Parks, if you can look that up.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
It's ko-fi.com if people are looking for the site.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Jenny, thanks so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of
Yeah,
fun
of
talking
course.
with you. Your books are Star Trek Cats and Star Trek The Next Generation Cats,
hmm
available on your website at jennyparks.com, as well as on Amazon and wherever books are sold.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.